Hey guys, so today we'll be doing a quick and simple tutorial on how to use Photoshop to create a social media graphic. Before I start, I am using a Mac and I'm also using the latest version of Photoshop. So at the top here, you can see Adobe Photoshop 2020. So whatever the version is as of July 14th, that's what I'm using. Um, Throughout the tutorial, I'm going to be referencing a lot of shortcuts and just in case I slip up or I make the mistake, if I say Command T, that's a shortcut for the Mac version. On Windows, it will be Control T. All right, so let's get started. So open up Photoshop on your computer and you're gonna see like this workspace layout pop up. If you don't have CC, you may not see this column on the left. So you can go ahead and click File, New, and you can create your artboard from there. But using Adobe Photoshop 2020, we're going to hit Create New. This tab is going to pop up. So there's a bunch of different templates that Adobe has already created, um, but the size I'm working with is currently not here. So we're just gonna create our own. I'm gonna call it Ice Cream Social Media Graphic because, ooh, ice cream. Because I decided to do a ice cream design for whatever reason. I'm kind of craving ice cream at the moment, so that's probably why. It's gonna be 1080 width and 1080 height. This is in pixels, by the way. And the resolution is going to be 72 pixels per inch because this is just going to be digital, so it doesn't have to be any larger than that. The color mode will be in RGB, and we're gonna click create. So we have our workspace set up. Right now I'm working in photography mode because I primarily use Photoshop for photography, so I'm mostly familiar with this layout, but whatever makes you more comfortable, you can use that. This is, oh, let me reiterate. When you go to Windows Workspace, chances are you'll be working in the Essentials layout, but all the tools that you need will be there. Alrighty. So I have already gone out and selected the image that I'm going to use. So my favorite website to use is Unsplash. And this cute ice cream graphic was uploaded by Ian Dooley. All right. So to upload our images into Photoshop, I am going to do the quick and lazy way, which is dragging and dropping the images in. And you can do this directly from your browser. So I'm using Safari right now. I'm just gonna click and drag. You see the little, what's this? Like the JPEG icon, and drag it in. It will work for Windows as well. Okay, so we have this image in. Right now it's called layer one. So I am double clicking on the name of the layer and you'll see like highlighted in blue. And you'll be able to rename that. So I'm just gonna call it ice cream. So right now, the image, excuse me, the image is really large and I want to downsize that so it's about 2/3, taking up 2/3 of the canvas that we have right now. On my keyboard, so this is on Mac, hit Command T. On Windows, it will be Control T. Oop, I forgot to click the layer. So click the layer, then do the shortcuts. So Command T on Mac, Control T on Windows. We're gonna see these handlebars pop up. This is what will allow you to control the size of your image. But before we go ahead and do that, make sure that your height and width are connected to maintain the aspect ratio. You can see that pop up there. So what that will do is maintain like the, how do you call it? Like the scale or the integrity of the image aspect ratio. So it's not like skewed and warped and distorted. Let me do it. Let me uncheck so you can see what will happen. You see it's like stretched really wide. I don't want that happening. So let me just undo what I just did, doing Command Z to undo. All right, I want mine smaller, so I'm just gonna make it smaller because I'm gonna put like huge text at the top. All right, so now that I have it at the size that I want it to be, I'm gonna click the check mark at the top right here. So it says commit transform. So I'm gonna hit that check mark. All right, so for this design, what I want to do is cut this ice cream onto this image. So I want to remove this background. All right, so we're gonna do the quick way. Clicking the quick selection tool. So this is the paintbrush with this little weird blobby dot thing here. We're gonna click that, and new versions of Photoshop has this cool new, well, now it's not really new, but it has a cool feature where the program basically detects the edges of your object and makes like a line around it so that you can cut that image, that selection out of your image. So I'm going to go ahead and click select subject. And we see the little marching ants around here. All right, so this tool does like a decent job, not the most perfect job, but for the purposes of this tutorial, it's very simple. I'm going to tell you why it's not very decent. I mean, not the greatest. It's decent, but not the greatest. You'll see that the index finger right here, it didn't select that. And the like small portion of the yellow background is going to get too deep into that. I'm just going to cover the basics on something quick and simple that you can do. All right, so that's selected. Make sure you're selected on your layer. And then we're going to click the layer mask icon. This is going to be at the bottom of your layers panel. So this little bar right here is your layers panel. If you do not see this, go to window and click layers. All right. So before I go on, just making that clear. So click the layer, make sure you have the marching ants, and we're gonna create that layer mask. So right now it just removed the background completely, and that's exactly what I wanted. So in this design, I wanted to make my background a different color. The color scheme I had was like this pinkish design. So I already chose that color because I practiced this design beforehand. So the hex value is FF quadruple A in this case if you want to follow exactly. All right, so we have our color. We're going to click the paint bucket tool. And we're going to make sure we're selected on this new layer that we created. And we're going to click once on or canvas or artboard. So now we have a cute pink background. All right, the next thing I want to do is insert text. I'm not very creative when it comes to text, so we're gonna pretend this is cool. Okay, so I changed my swatch color to FFD37A, which is like a weird variation of yellow, some pastelish yellow that's still vibrant enough for you to see. And I clicked once on my board, and I think the words I chose was like cool down. I know it's not the greatest, but for the sake of the tutorial, this is what we're using. All right, I'm gonna duplicate this word because I'm gonna make like a cool like overlaid text type effect. So to copy this text that I already typed, I am going to use the keyboard shortcut Command J. So make sure you're selected on this type layer. Hit Command J on your keyboard or Control J on your Windows. I want to change the text on the bottom, so let me change it. So this is going to be top, text on top, and text on bottom, just to make that very clear. I'm going to go to my window and character. All right, awesome. All right, so I selected on bottom. Click color, and I change it to like a weird neon blue or cyan. Wow, cyan. All right. Okay. So we're selected on that layer. I'm gonna click and drag it down. Actually, in this case, I want to reverse them. I think I prefer the blue on top. So with layers, whatever is on top will be on top. So to switch the position of this text, I'm going to move this bottom layer to the top so that the cyan color shows. I'm just going to shift it because I think I prefer how vibrant it is. All right. I'm just going to rename these since I changed my mind. Okay, awesome. And let's call this background. Okay, cool. All right, then the last finishing touch, I'm gonna insert some cute little triangles by the ice cream. So using the Polygon tool, which is also U, like your keyboard shortcut for this is U. I'm gonna click once on my document and make sure the number of sides is set to 3. And we have a cute little triangle. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm actually gonna make it, oh, let me reverse. Let me not get ahead of myself there. I'm gonna make 3 different triangles and just place them around the graphic. So I want them to be varying sizes to transform the size of this triangle. I'm gonna hit Command T on my keyboard. I'm unchecking this link because I do not want to maintain the aspect ratio. And I want to stretch this shape out a bit more so it's not a perfect triangle. All right, and I'm going to hit the check mark here. I'm going to make 2 more copies of this layer. So making sure you're selected on Polygon 1. Actually, let me rename this to triangle before I do that. All right, so we're selected on triangle and hit Command J on your keyboard twice or Command J on your Windows. And I'm just gonna call one of this like baby triangle because I'm making a little baby triangle, a tiny one. And just like triangle 2. Okay, so we're not seeing these other 2 because the first one's like layered on top, so we actually have to physically move them. So this is baby triangle that I'm moving right now. And I'm actually gonna make it smaller. So while I'm doing that, I'm just gonna make it small. So hitting Command T on the keyboard, and I'm just gonna shrink the size of that, and I'm just gonna make it a little bit narrower. And I'm going to go to triangle 2 and move that up so I can see it a bit. All right. So my graphic isn't gonna end here. I'm actually gonna rotate these points inwards. And we're at baby triangle, so Command T, rotate. And let's rotate this other triangle here with Command T. And I'm gonna play around with these a bit to get them where I want them. Okay, in my test graphic, I had it kind of like a little thing like Sue. Maybe this is a bit exaggerated, but all right. I want to shift this up a bit more. So to shift everything up as a unit, I'm going to click the layer called triangle, hold shift on my keyboard and click on the layer called triangle too. And then I'm going to click on my board or canvas and move it up a little bit. And hold Command T to rotate everything as one unit. And I am done with my simple social media graphic. So just to recap what was done, I imported this image, I cut it out of the background using a layer mask, I imported text, I duplicated the text and I changed the color. Then I created a triangle, I duplicated that triangle twice and manipulated the size of it and positioned it in a way that I kind of just like the layout. So there you have it. Oh, and also don't forget to save your document by going to File, Save As. All right. You can save it to, or using the shortcut Control or Command S, you can save it to your cloud document or on your computer, and you can save it as a PSD file. Right now, my computer has a lot of personal files on there, so I don't want to dig very deep into that at the moment, but I hope you guys liked this tutorial and comment down below if you learned something new and what else you'd like to see. I hope to be doing many of these later on in the future, and I will drop my social media in the description. Bye, guys.